Hello, my name is Beloved, and you are listening to Beloved Oracle Speaks. Yesterday, during my God Revealed talk, I mentioned that people have arguments about the smallest things. And in conversation with a few friends, we were talking about just how real that is. And when people snap, what do they snap over? And in looking deeper, people snap over the simplest thing from feeling disrespected. You're walking to get in line, someone else is walking, neither of you are really paying attention. You get there, the person is in front of you, and you feel jilted by that and extremely disrespected by that. And all of a sudden, you're at the police station because you've been arrested because you popped that person in the eye because when you told them they should get behind you because you were in front of them, they were like, "Really, bruh?" And because they didn't comply, you popped them in the eye and you're down at the police station, snapped when all you was really supposed to do was at the store, just get some baby formula and go home. That is not a real story. I'm just saying someone probably has that story out there. So why do people snap? I tell people that when I learned during my healing process, like certain things I need to maintain. When I am hungry, my feelings, I am more susceptible to feeling a heightened level of um, angst, I'll say, or vexation. Um, and so, in order to combat being that way, I ensure, I try my best to ensure that I eat something so that I don't get to the hangry status, and I know we all know what hangry is. And if we don't, I'm going to put hangry right here, the definition, so that you can know what I'm talking about. So, one thing I want to do is just read to you just a bit of this article that I came across. The gentleman explained, he said, one factor common to many incidences of sudden aggression, even violence, is that they don't just take the victims by surprise, they surprise the predator as well, right? It's like the gentleman who's supposed to be at the grocery store just getting the baby formula, not arguing. Now, when we suddenly snap and become violent, many of us feel that our outburst is wrong. We already know that the outburst is wrong within us. Sometimes, even during the wrong act, there is something in us going, this is just not you, right? Like you shouldn't be doing this right now, right? Yet and still, we may find it deeply out of character for ourselves. And we often feel remorse right afterwards. I mean, how true is that? Where do we go from here? So, this neuroscientist, Doug Fields, he says that he believes that we all wish and we need to believe that we can control our behavior and actions. But the fact is that in certain instances, we are not in control. That's what he says. That is his opinion. Now, he goes on to say that there are at least two different ways each of us tries to predict. Maybe accurately, maybe not. So we try to predict and process threats, okay? He says one pathway seems to be conscious and slower, and the other unconscious and much faster. Unconscious. Let's stick with that word unconscious. When the latter is triggered, meaning the unconscious, in a split second and with little and no conscious awareness or planning, we may launch into violence we never would have expected from ourselves. So they use interesting words here. unconscious, and conscious awareness. Although this happens so rapidly and can be more or less out of our control, according to Fields, there are various influences that can make us more prone to such snapping. And this is where I want to get. So, what makes us prone to snapping? There are other factors other than stress. So, let me repeat. Other factors that could make snapping more likely include being drunk, hot, hungry, or mentally tired. Okay. Another important cause for many people is adverse childhood experiences. It's called ACE. The specific environment we're in and how it is priming us to feel matters a lot, perhaps making snapping more or less likely. Since we may snap before even becoming conscious of feeling angry or threatened, it would be wrong to think that anger was the cause of the snapping. But neuroscience does seem to show that the categories we use to make sense of our world are key to our experiences of emotions like anger, as well as our perception of situations as threats. Our perceptions of situations as threats. You know, I was watching a police interview the other day and came across this video here. This gentleman's name is Michael Dunn. And Michael Dunn pulled up to a convenience store next to a car that had loud music playing. And by the end of this interaction, Michael Dunn here let off, I believe, 10 rounds into a car full of unarmed teenagers. And one of the young men lost his life. This specific part in the video I want to play because it's appropriate regarding the topic of snapping. So let's see.
Hard to be seen when they're shooting someone. They're gonna shoot you right inside that truck.
All right. He's getting out of his car. We're this close to each other. He was getting out of his car.
So he's saying the young man is getting out of his car.
After repeatedly telling me that he was going to kill me. So, is he going to bite my ear off or shoot me with a shotgun? I wasn't too concerned about how he intended to do it.
Jaw jacking back and forth with that guy.
Now, the kid was talking junk. The kid was talking junk. The guy said, hey, he pulled up next to the car and said, hey, you turn your music down. The kids turned their music down. But when the other gentleman came out of the store, it was like, why'd you turn my music down, bruh? Turn it back up. Well, because dude said over there to turn it down. Well, F that dude, bruh. We having a good time, bruh. We just came from the mall. Like, what's the problem? I'm ad-libbing here, but that's basically how I assume that it went down.
But at no time did any of them say, well, okay, he did say he was going to kill him. Because it makes no sense, because what's he going to do? He's not armed. What's he going to, I'm going to kill you and get out of a car. And we're talking about a kid. You know how many times that kid's been to jail? Never. He has no history of violence, and it's not like we're getting some street thug.
I bet you he was.
We're not talking about a violent kid here. He has no track record. There are guys in Jacksonville I'd go, okay, I believe that, because they got track records. This kid ain't got no track record. The kid sitting next to him doesn't have a track record. The kid sitting in front of him doesn't have a track record. None of them do. These aren't violent guys. They pull up so the driver can run in and buy cigarettes. It's the only reason they're even there. They just got back from going to the mall. That's it. So I have a hard time buying how I can totally see him talking shit to you.
Yeah.
I can see that. But to take it to a level that he's threatening to end your life when he can't, there's no way he can. He doesn't have anything.
I didn't know that.
I know.
That's all the reason
That's
that
all
you're
the-
not knowing that is all the reason why you took your next step too far.
Yeah, the problem is you went from 0 to 100 without ever getting to 50.
Right.
I just wanted to show you that because for whatever reason, however this gentleman fathomed whatever he fathomed in his mind, however he felt about loud music, about a car full of young black teens, about loud music and a car full of young black teens in front of a convenience store, who knows? And he couldn't help himself but tell them to turn their music down. You can ask. And yes, the one young man did do that. He turned it down. And the other gentleman came out not understanding why his music needed to be turned down. And especially at the request of someone who's not going to be exposed to the music, but for minutes, maybe. Does it hurt to argue with someone? No. Could that kid potentially be alive if he didn't engage in that argument with this gentleman? Possible. Was this man's prejudices? Does he always walk around on high alert of others that are different from him? Does he walk around always feel threatened or feeling agitated at the world for existing, people for existing? I don't know him. But whatever it was, this gentleman went from 0 to 100 in no time, unloading into a car full of young teens, no police record, never been in trouble, good in school. Their offense was loud music. Does the man living along the parade route snap on the parade? Does the neighbor near the high school where the high school band is practicing terribly go over there and tell them to turn it down and then start shooting kids when they say, F you, dude, go back? We're trying to prepare for our homecoming. Have you caught yourself in situations where you were so caught up that you had to stop yourself before you went that one step further? Or are you one of those people who feels like there's some things that come up that snapping is just okay and necessary? I just want to let this conversation continue to play out.
What was the purpose of that?
Saved my life?
From the door?
No, he was coming out of this door, and then I guess he went back in it, but that's where he was.
Let's just
Prior.
say, hypothetically, you and him exchange words. He opened the door to go in the store to use the bathroom.
He wouldn't have said you're dead, bitch, and then,
I'm just saying.
well, then I guess I would be in trouble if that was the case.
Just hear
But
this out.
that's not what happened.
We are so lucky. Really, there should be 3 of those 4 should have been hit. 3 of those 4. You could have 3 dead guys right now. Okay. Luckily for the guy in the front seat, his door stopped the bullets. They entered the door, but they didn't go all the way in because the front door's got bullet holes in it. Okay. And there's another one you shot when you were doing the suppression fire, basically, to keep their heads down as they're driving away. You put one in the back of the car. There's several shots directly into the rear of the truck. and one of them comes zinging in through the back
Yeah.
and goes right up and hits the sun visor where the driver is as he's driving out. Didn't miss his noggin by much. So we could very easily have 3 victims at this point. Luckily, those guys didn't get hit or any way, shape, but they're all fine, except for the poor guy who's pretty much was dead right there. It didn't take him long; he was gone. We see a lot of scenarios, and we deal with threatening situations. I mean, it's not, we deal with them all the time where somebody defends themselves. I mean, we do. And there are clear-cut cases where you go, yep, sure did, buddy. You defended yourself. Have a nice day. Unfortunately, this is not one of them.
This is not one of them.
I'm not feeling so hot now that you guys are.
Unfortunately, we have that effect sometimes.
Well, I don't mean sick. I mean, I actually am starting to be sick in my stomach. I don't know how I can express to you guys that I was in fear for my life.
Okay.
I've never been so scared in my whole life. I've been mad and my hands shake, but I was so afraid that I didn't have time to think. I only reacted.
What did you see the driver of the other car do when Jordan Davis said, "Yeah, I'm talking to you"?
He reached into his glove department.
It was a big silver chrome, either 9mm or a 45. It was a large caliber.
And what did the driver do with the gun when he grabbed it from the glove compartment?
He was holding it and cocked it back.
I heard someone yell or someone say something very loud.
And what did you hear that person say?
No, you're not going to talk to me that way.
Do I need to get a lawyer? I mean, it sounds like I'm in deep shit.
Well,
Yeah.
that is up to you. We have a warrant. Duval County issued a warrant for your arrest for murder and attempted murder. Okay, that's what you're being charged with right now. Okay, just the first step in the process.
The way I see this was I was scared for my life, and I.
All right, so he's just working on his defense, guys. But what I'm trying to say is, what to say? We're going back to Snapped. So here we are. The article that I was reading goes on to say, since we may snap even before becoming conscious of feelings of anger or threatened, the category we use to make sense of our world are key to our experiences of emotions and anger, as well as to our perception of situations as threats. I actually read this before I played this video. As well as our perception of situations as threats. And that's what Michael Dunn did for whatever reason. But what started the entire interaction was him asking for the music to be turned down. There was actually someone who testified who said they too pulled into the parking lot before Michael Dunn. And since he heard the music so loud, he parked in a different spot to avoid such loudness in his ear. Move consciously with awareness. When you walk outside your home, you're interacting with an entire environment. So there are things that we can do to avoid confrontation. Or like that gentleman did, he knew it was going to annoy him more and more if he parked in that spot. So he parked around, went in, handled his business, and came out. Unfortunately, the man behind him pulled into the spot and engaged in gunfire. So there's all choices here. And you can unconsciously move throughout your day and have all of these things come up and happen. But you are choosing, you are the vessel. Awareness. You are being perceived at every turn, and you are perceiving at every turn. That's why I say little arguments, especially on the street, like in your car, road rage. We feel so safe in our car. We feel like we can say F you and flick people to bird and do all kinds of things that we would never do if we were standing there on the sidewalk with them. But something about that quick passing interaction that we do. And we think the crap that we're throwing at that person in that other car, that they're just normal people receiving our crap. But we don't know that person. That's how people wind up getting killed. You think you're Joe Schmo A flipping the bird to Joe Schmo B. That's not Joe Schmo B over there. That's Joe Schmo here for it today. And out of sheer feeling of disrespect alone, will chase you down and shoot up your whole car. I'm going to say this. If you are anywhere near having your right mind, help society out by getting control of these things. Don't look at the world and wait for Mr. Hanging over the edge to get his shit together. Help him get his shit together by you getting your shit together. Let's stop condoning each other snapping. Let's stop condoning and making these excuses or saying these things like, oh, I don't think they had control. But then later down in the article, it says, well, he was acting unconsciously, but if he had conscious awareness, he would have acted differently. You are conscious awareness, but when you give your awareness away to unconsciousness and you allow your physical vehicle to be driven and managed by something else while you stand by and allow it to be so, because those are your actions. That's why not taking form is so important. It's so, so important because even like I say, in this situation, sometimes, even though we don't want to, because we feel like, who the hell are you to say this to us? But sometimes, not even sometimes, it just behooves you. Unless you are coming to physical harm, it behooves you to just be. Exercise some discretion. My stepfather used to like to say, don't write a check that your ass can't cash. It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym, you work out, you get results. You tame your tongue, you tap into your Christ consciousness within. You shift your perspective from a me to a whole. And it'll be very difficult to bring you to snapping. It says here that we could recharacterize the events by telling ourselves a different story, such as maybe that it's an inexperienced driver who cut you off and that it was accidental. And then to even go further to say to yourself, revenge wouldn't be worth it for me. They're saying that recategorizing seems to help prevent snapping because we train ourselves over time to interpret situations more generously. To interpret them more generously, not to perceive them so negatively. I'm going to close with this. This is a book called Return to Love. It says, love is what we were born with. Fear is what we have learned. Love is what we were born with. Fear is what we have learned. And it says here the spiritual journey is the relinquishment and unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. Until next time, namaste, darlings. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share.